Feitmans PeePee.
Yeah, dear listeners, and welcome at the podcast Feitmans PeePee.
Yes,
In
Feitmans PeePee.
Yeah, over gokken en zo. But that's not the title today.
Gambling and stuff.
About gambling and stuff, and this time we are talking in English.
Yes, for the first time in the history of Feitmans PeePee, because we have a distinguished international guest, and we are recording live from the Ullevaal studio. No, not studio, in stadium.
Yes, the studio in the stadium in the north of Europe.
In Oslo.
Yeah, Oslo, Norway.
Yes, Norway. We're in Scandinavia. We're at the EASG conference, which is the European Association for the Study of Gambling. And we are very thankful to its organizers that we can hijack this conference and have one of the guests of the conference and one of the speakers of the conference as our guest today, which is Feite.
Which is Maris. How do we call you?
You can call me anything, but usually Maris.
Maris Bonello.
Maris Bonello or Catania.
You can use both.
Okay.
I will answer for
Maris
both.
is a woman with a lot of names.
Yes.
Yes.
Very well known in the industry, and we'll get to the introduction of Maris in a short while, but not before. We talk about the bags of mail and email that we have been getting over the last few weeks.
Yes, we got hundreds of reactions of the last podcast, and the last guest of the podcast. He was from Belgium.
Yes,
he was Mr. Arne Nielis, and Arne Nielis did react. In fact, and he had some critics on the
he was slightly disappointed in our social media policies.
On the use of it on our social media, because we only use LinkedIn. He said if you really want a lot of listeners, you should put your podcast also on all other social media channels.
Yes.
So there's work to do, PP.
Yes, there's work to do, and I don't even have a Twitter account myself. So, but then again, we need to go to Twitch and to what's it called, TikTok.
Yeah, but I just heard some bad stories about Twitch.
TikTok as well. So but we'll see what we can do about it. But feel free, people. Feel free to forward the links and to invite your friends and family to listen to Feitmans PeePee.
Yes. So we love to say to Arne, thank you for your reaction, and perhaps you can do something on the Belgian market.
Yes.
To get more Belgian
why
listeners.
don't you become our agent, our social media agent?
Yeah. So this question is running. We wait for your reaction, Arne, and thank you for that. Have you got another reaction?
From
Mr. M. Jagger.
Oh, yes. Well, it had something to do with the use of copyrighted material in one of the first few shows, for which we truly apologize. And
we didn't know, Mick. We didn't know.
No, we thought we were below the what do you call it, the part that you can use without royalties, but apparently we weren't, so it was deleted immediately.
So we listened very carefully to you, Mr. Jagger, and we won't make this mistake.
No, we won't make a mistake again.
Thank you for your reaction.
And it is all for a good cause, It's to create understanding between people from all parts of the gambling spectrum, and to make sure that gambling is done responsibly and that gamblers are looked after. So I hope you don't mind, Mr. Mick J. So your last sentence, otherwise see you in court. We won't take it seriously. No. In fact, but thank you for reacting. Yes, thanks very much. Which takes us to...
En dan nu het nieuws van de afgelopen weken.
And especially for especially for Maris, we will translate it. The news of the past weeks. What is the news of the past weeks, Feitmans?
The news of the past week. Well, in fact, there's one thing I want to say. The 1st of October last year, our online gambling market opened in the Netherlands.
Yes.
And since then, we now have 19 companies that have a license. I think we started out with 9 in a few weeks, and right now we are at 19. So my question would be, where will it end?
Will it ever stop? No, I don't think it will stop, because it's an open market.
Yeah.
The number of licenses is not limited, like in Belgium, which to me is like, if you want to see how you should not regulate a market, look at Belgium. But in the Netherlands, the number of licenses is not limited. So the market limits the number of licenses. And what you will see happening is that, over the coming 6 to 12 months, you will see another number of licenses added to the market. And then in the years after that, you will see a consolidation in the market, which means that, some will be bought, others will just get the hell out because it's not working out for them.
So in theory, we could have thousands of licenses, but
in theory, but what you see in Denmark, you see in Denmark, which is a much smaller country, is that there is around 40 licensees currently, and there has been a pretty stable number over the past 10 years. I think their market was regulated in 2012, and the number of licensees has been around 40 all that time. So I don't know where the number will sit for the Netherlands, because I don't think that the number of the population number says anything about the number of companies that you can sustain in a market. But the market is going to decide.
Yeah. Okay, so this is up to the market.
We
can invite the market sometimes in our podcast.
Yeah, will be interesting to hear what the market says.
Okay, and there was another new news fact, something about a consultation.
Yes, there was a consultation. Oh my God, I was wrestling through the summer period, looking at the draft draft decree, which contains a ban on untargeted advertising for online gambling in the Netherlands. And it was put up for consultation, and there was a great number of responses that came in. They are actually published on the website of the ministry.
Yes,
I think
with names. I think it's not possible to.
Well, you could anonymize.
Yeah,
You could anonymize.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think most of the people that sent in a response put their names to it, and it was really interesting to read the different responses. Most notably, the responses of the two, let's say, trade associations for online gambling. They concluded that the legal basis for this draft decree is problematic. But anyway, so it remains to be seen what will happen with this consultation. So the coming months will be interesting. But I expect this advertising ban to come into force per the 1st of January.
Yes, okay. I can't wait for it, but we've got some different opinions over here.
But there are various different opinions. We also have another news fact by Mr. René Janssen, who was here on Tuesday, sitting in a panel, and I think he gave a speech as well about his view on where limits should go in the Netherlands and what the role of limit setting in the Netherlands is in the, let's say, duty of care. Which is an important part of any obligation for obligations for any licensed operators in the Netherlands. And he was suggesting, and you were there as well. He was suggesting that there should be an introduction of fixed limits. Basically, an amount.
Just one amount for everybody.
Yeah, basically, and you cannot go over it, and which is per player, so not per operator, which is the current system, which you can have a debate about whether that works or not. But he was pleading for to impose an amount per player per month. Yeah. And he was referencing to Belgium, amongst others, and what other countries did he mention?
I think he mentioned Sweden.
Sweden as well, yeah. Sweden as well.
Sweden has the same system, I think.
Yeah, they had.
They had like a blanket limit during COVID.
Yeah, but they have lifted that now.
Yes, it's lifted.
Also because well, that's my translation of what happened in Sweden. But because they found out that, channelization was going down as a result of that measure. So that's something that they will have to factor in when they impose this. So that was kind of a big thing. Breaking news here in the Ullevaal stadium.
Yeah.
Any other news?
No, I think these were the most important free news facts. But perhaps, Maris, you have
Maris,
some
do you have maybe some news?
Something you say,
that you want to share? It doesn't have to be about gambling. It can be anything.
No, sorry, I'm boring.
No, that's fine. Well, we had a long day of presentations today, audience. So if we sound a bit sleepy, you know the reason why. And this podcast is the last thing between us and the drinks at the end of the day.
Yes. So we're all a bit longing for
we are.
the end of the podcast. We are not at all.
Yes, it's dragging ourselves towards the end. Yes, which takes us to the official and the formal part of every podcast. For this podcast, as usual, we have prepared 3 statements.
Yes, 3 statements. Yes,
but before we go to the statements, Maris, do you want to tell us a bit more about yourself? Where you come from, what it is you do, what your hobbies are.
Sure.
Anything.
So my name is Maris, and I work for Kindred. I have the role of head of RG and research. So mostly I look into the strategy, responsible gambling.
Very good. I hear gambling and not gaming. This is
very good.
I love this.
Yeah, it's very good.
I'm doing something.
You're passing the test here.
Yes. First sentence, and I'm doing well. And research. Mostly I overlook the research side of things, mainly because I'm a big nerd. So I found a good job for that.
Are you a data cruncher?
Yes, and a bookworm.
Oh.
A bookworm, yes.
Bookworm.
You are you already a doctor?
I submitted my PhD.
Ooh, so
for the Viva. No, I still have the last. Yes.
So you have to defend it.
Yes.
Oh, you'll do just.
Is this in short time that you will defend this?
No, I'm just waiting.
Okay.
I'm just waiting.
Wow.
So.
And which university is that?
Nottingham Trent.
Oh, Nottingham.
I was very lucky to have the best tutor, Mark Griffiths. So.
Very well known.
Very, very lucky.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're talking with a student of Mark Griffiths here.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Dear listeners, did you hear that?
Yeah. But we will be addressing you with the full title the next time. So Doctor.
I don't think even I will use that.
Okay. Then we will just call you Maris. No problem.
And what are your hobbies? And you are originally from
Malta.
From Malta.
Malta, yeah. I'm Maltese. I studied psychology. And I joined, at the time, Unibet in 2009. So it was my first full-time job.
Wow.
And I mainly joined Unibet because I was a broke student. So it wasn't really because, I was psyched about the online gambling industry.
Do you gamble yourself?
Yes, especially at the time I used to play poker.
Okay.
Quite a bit. That's how I got into this. Nowadays it's mostly just to see what products are there and stuff like that. So, when you do constantly study about gambling, you don't feel like gambling at the end of the day.
No, I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can imagine. And any hobbies that you want to share with us?
I read a lot. I said I'm a nerd.
Bookworm,
so, Yes. I am constantly being told off at home for buying books.
Close the book.
Yes, especially when, I get deliveries at home. And every time I get a book delivery, I'm not there. So my husband has to open it. And every time I get home, I get this look why did you order another book?
Oh, he's not sending it back before you get home.
No. And he builds me more bookshelves, so it's his fault, in my opinion.
And he's also not selling the books.
Oh, no. He wants to stay alive. No.
He wants to stay alive.
Are you listening?
Of course he will listen. No problem.
All right. Yes. That takes us to Statement 1.
All right, Maris, here we go. The RG department of a gambling firm is responsible for the health of its gamblers. What's your reaction about this?
It's quite a short sentence, but with a lot of factors. So I would say it's not just the RG department, but the RG department should drive a lot of the things. So, for example, from my end, like it's my responsibility to read, to keep up to date with research, to do number crunching, and then advise Kindred how to go forward. But it's not just me, it's not just the team. It's also the CEO, the exec, marketing. Everyone has to have some sort of level of responsible gambling involved.
And the gambler is himself or herself?
And the gambler himself, yes, but not to the extent of pushing everything onto the gambler, in my opinion. So I wouldn't say, it would be fair to say, it's all about the gambler. I think it's still, as a company, you need to offer some sort of protection measures.
Okay. So there's a shared responsibility?
Yes, a shared responsibility. Obviously, it's not that easy because sometimes, like, I used to do a lot of the responsible gambling because when I started, I was on my own. So I was doing a lot of things and trying out. And I think the hardest part is when you do contact a gambler and they might lie, which is very typical for someone with a gambling disorder. So I think that's where the shared responsibility, sometimes maybe the operator needs to take a more advanced role. But apart from that, yes, I think a shared responsibility, but not to be used to hide as an operator and say, like, yes, it's not our fault. But no, it would be together.
But this is always a bit, this is a difficult thing. In fact, a few years ago, you invited me to come over, and I met the Dutch team, the Dutch RG, the people working for your company there. And this was one of the main subjects. This is a problem that is really, really hard to solve, in fact.
Yeah.
But we should talk about it and keep on talking about it. I think that's the best way, because gambling will not disappear and people like to gamble.
Yeah, and online gambling has this beautiful thing. And again, I'm a nerd, that's why I'm saying it. But like if you go to land-based, you have a lot of self-report. You have to rely on what the gamblers think. But with online gambling, everything is trackable.
Yeah, you've got
so
all
we
the
can
data.
look into data, exactly.
Yeah.
So we can look into how gamblers react with certain promotions, or how gamblers would react if we send an RG message, and what they do. It's just sometimes to have the time to analyze, to implement.
Yeah.
But but that's why then we speak to people like you.
I was just gonna ask, because it's not an automatic step or thought that any gambling company makes. So why did you decide to invite Feite over to to have a chat about it?
As I mentioned, my background is psychology. So when I started doing responsible gambling, it was something that no one else was doing at the time. But it was mainly, I started working in the fraud department. And I saw that there was so much focus in detecting fraud.
Yeah.
And with me having worked with people who had a gambling disorder, I kind of felt like, why not try to do something? And I was very lucky. And I always say, because I have crazy ideas, but I had a crazier manager to support me. So maybe I should mention his name, and then he will really not be happy. But I remember going to my boss, Ewout, and telling him, like, we should use data to help people. We should use data to try to detect markers of harm. And he just said yes. And obviously, when you're working with an operator, most of the time, you don't have people who are experts in responsible gambling. And so I started talking to treatment centers. I started talking to lived experience. And that's how we actually met.
Yeah. This is really good because, I myself always tell, whether they like it or not, I tell executives in gambling companies, you should talk to, experienced gamblers that run into issues with your product.
Yeah.
And you should do it regularly because, well, if it's close to you, you're more likely to, factor it in everything you do and all the products that you bring on the market. So I think it's really, really important.
Yes,
anyway.
Yes, it's very good to we're not numbers or percentage of people.
No, exactly.
This and that's always good. So I was very happy and honored. Also, you invited me and to come there to tell my story and to discuss about the danger of gambling. And in fact, one of the people working there at the end, he came to me and he said, "Well, don't you hate us, Veit?" I said, "No, I don't hate you. That's not what it's about. It's not about hate."
No. Statement 2.
With 19 licenses, including Kindred, the Dutch market is full.
I don't.
You're a small country, Maris.
Really simple statements. I must applaud. It's amazing to do these statements just after a very long day. I don't think it's about the number of operators. It's about the quality, in my opinion. Obviously, I come from a very small country, and I think we have more operators there. But it really needs to be about the ethical practices that they do, because you can have only one rotten apple and it's enough.
Yeah, that's what you see constantly in the gambling industry. Yeah,
it would not be good for the name of the 18 others.
Exactly, and that's something that's I don't know why sometimes gambling operators don't get.
I think it's due to competition. When you're talking about the licensed operators anyway, because you also have to deal, which is, an extra complicating factor. You're also dealing with a huge illegal market that, don't abide by any rules.
Yes. And that's quite difficult sometimes. So, for example, in the UK, you have Crooks in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
You have GamStop in the UK. And I think it's such an amazing thing to have, where if you have a problem, you can just register in one place.
Yeah.
But then if you Google non-GamStop casinos,
you
get all these casinos that actually promote themselves as, you
hassle-free. Hassle-free, we don't ask for any ID,
exactly.
that kind of stuff.
I found a website like that in the Netherlands too.
No.
Casinos not working with crooks. Yeah, if you Google that.
Yeah. I was told, Veit, that we shouldn't mention it because we put ideas into people's head.
No, we don't do that.
But now what we
don't
can
go
say...
to casinos.com.
What we can say, actually, I work very closely with Gamban. So I'm sure they don't mind that I shout out to them.
No.
If someone has a problem... they can download Gamban.
Yeah.
So like that, they would be blocked from everywhere.
Yeah, and I think we should advocate more. Like there is like the helpline. Het loket kansspel.nl.
Yes.
You can go to Crocs. You can go to agog.nl.
Yes,
you can go to all sorts of organizations if you think you have a problem.
Yes, but also, I want to mention that then you are reacting on your problem.
Yes.
So this is at the end. Of
it's better to be at the beginning.
Yeah, prevention, of course, would be better. So, but this is a very difficult thing.
Yeah. Well, that gets us automatically to statement number 3:
imposing hard monetary limits, as suggested by René Jansen from our
KSA.
regulator, KSA. Yeah. Will help enforcing the duty of care.
This is not that straightforward, in my opinion.
Okay. Tell us. It's all about us.
Who came up with that ridiculous statement?
I would never say that.
It was me, probably.
Because it's good to have limits, because you don't want people to obviously gamble beyond their means. You don't want that. But at the same time, what is an appropriate limit for everyone?
Yeah.
And I remember when in Sweden there was the COVID measures, and I saw the proposals initially. It was 5,000 krona a week.
Yeah, so that's
500 euro.
500 euros a week, yeah.
And only on casino. And I was thinking to myself, like, who can afford, to lose
but
that's the thing. €500 a week? It's too much.
The thing.
A bit more than 2,000 in a month.
Yes.
If you ask someone in the street, do you think that is a normal, that's okay?
Yeah.
No one's going to say, oh yeah, it's fine, it's fine. No one's going to say that.
And then you have models like Italy, for example, when as soon as you register, you need to set up a limit.
Mm-hmm.
But then you see a lot of people just setting up really large limits.
Yeah, that's the same in the Netherlands currently.
So they won't have, so they're not going into trouble with not
exactly
to end their game,
And then you have to keep in mind, is it just money? What about time?
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's time limits as well, but is there like a healthy time amount that you should be gambling if we're looking into money?
Yeah.
What is a healthy amount of money? Because, for example, for me, if I had to say, even if we compare just me and my manager, for example, even if we have the same salary, our affordability brackets will be different. He's in a relationship with no kids. I'm in a relationship with 2 kids.
Yes, there are a lot of factors, of course.
Exactly. So you always have to keep these things in mind.
Yeah. But in time,
it's very difficult to just, in my opinion, have that sort of limit. I would say it would be good to have it according to affordability, to have this information more available.
Yeah. So somebody has a steady job working 20 hours or 40 hours a week.
Like in Sweden, you can see you have the sort of affordability checks. Even in the UK, there are some companies that help where you can see, or you can ask. I don't think a lot of the industry peers will agree with this, but where you can ask, the customer, can you provide us with proof of statement? Like, okay, how much do you earn, or are you comfortable playing this much?
Yes.
I'm afraid that if the limit is too high, it's not protecting anyone. And if the limit is too low, it will push people
to
somewhere else.
Yeah.
I think to get that balance is very difficult. What I like about this market is the focus, though, on the young adults.
You mean in the Netherlands?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
I like the focus on the young adults.
From 18 to 24.
I think it's good. It's something that we had started before,
Yeah.
because research shows that as well. But I think it's really good to have that focus.
Their brains are not fully developed at that time, so
No,
you have to
the
be very, very
frontal
careful of
cortex.
them. Yeah.
Although I know a lot of over 30 guys that are the same.
I was just going to say, I mean,
There are some people, 17, they are fully developed, and there are some people...
yeah, but those
52.
are usually not guys. That's the first thing. It's usually girls that are very, very wise at a certain age. And, speaking for myself, gosh, I think it was 30, and my mom was still saying, "When will you grow up?"
Yeah.
So, I think, I agree that you should look out after, the vulnerable groups, especially. But if you how do you say that, make that group too wide, like is happening in the advertising ban, the proposed advertising ban, it has something in there that you have to ensure that your advertisements is not reaching anyone in a vulnerable group. But how do you know whether someone is in a vulnerable group? You can't exclude that from happening.
But it's good that it's mentioned, because
I think it will change eventually. I think it will change. I think what is important here is that you do anything you can, reasonably can, to ensure that as limited as possible, people in a vulnerable group get to see your advertisement.
Yes.
Because otherwise, it's just a ban in different words. And I don't think that the minister wants to ban targeted advertising, which is online, which is So, yeah.
Yes, he does also has a hell of a job, our minister, I think.
Yes, it's especially in this time frame, like in any other country in Europe. I'm probably not going to say anything strange to you, Maris, if I say gambling has no friends in politics. It's usually the first subject that they pick if they need to raise taxes. Let's raise gambling tax. I think also members of parliament have grown tired of the channelization argument
in the Netherlands.
But it's still an important argument.
Yes, and keeping in mind, I think I mentioned it today as well, keeping in mind that I don't like the argument that sometimes the industry says, so it's such a small percentage of people who have a gambling disorder.
It's people you talk about. Yes. It's not a percentage.
And as well, the affected others. We don't speak enough about them. So for each person, you have, I think research shows now it's 22, at least, more people impacted.
Yeah.
So
you mean all the people surrounding?
Yes.
Yeah.
So if
their family, their friends.
Exactly. If I develop a gambling disorder, it will impact my team, and that's already 30 people.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
I'm Maltese, huge family, so it's like half of Malta. So I think that's also, it's part of social policy. We need to consider these things. And again, online gambling is too fast growing as well.
Yeah.
So, for example, when you mentioned this about marketing, the first thing I would think is, why don't we have options to block ads on your phone?
Well, these options exist.
Yeah. That's what I would promote, for example, as a regulator.
Yeah.
So I want the choice not to get these adverts, for example.
Yeah, I think the regulator is agreed on that.
Yeah.
I don't think the regulator disagrees. The regulator even said in his what do you call it?
Speech.
No, he has speech as well, but also he has this blog. It's very modern. He has a blog. He was also in our podcast.
Yes.
Yeah, so
he was on the same chair as you, Maris.
We're making free free marketing for his for his
blog.
But anyway, so he had a blog, and he wrote in there that advertising plays a role in channelization, and so they acknowledge this. But I think it's much more the case currently in the Netherlands that this is driven from Parliament, and members of Parliament have grown sick and tired of gambling in the gambling industry.
Yes,
and they don't care.
Yes, but Parliament is also our people.
Yeah, they are. They are. But in the end, they decide.
Exactly
how our countries run. So we'll have to work with it. But it's something that I sometimes have a hard time. Accepting.
In fact, our minister did also visit one of the groups of anonymous gamblers.
Yeah.
And he was, how do you call it in English? It was touched.
Yeah, he was touched, yeah.
Touched by it. Yes, it did something. And I think this was also very good that politicians also talk with the how do you call them? The victims of gambling or the persons who didn't do well with gambling.
Yeah.
So speak to them all, and not only to the industry people but also to the old gamblers.
Yeah,
sure.
For the same reason that I came to your team at that time.
No, I think there are so many stakeholders involved. So it's not just the industry, lived experience, treatment, research. So unless we work together, we're gonna be screwed. I couldn't find that.
Oh, this is the tagline for our show, really.
I'm sorry.
You can use the word screwed in the Netherlands without any problem.
Okay, good.
We're used to that.
This is not monitored for foul language. We don't have a. Let me see. Do we have a bleep? No, that's not a bleep. Anyway,
next time.
Yeah. So no, it's in all seriousness. You can say anything you like, and normally. We end the show with thanking you for being on our show and being our guest. But since we have you here physically, and Feite also thought about bringing our gift that we send to all our guests, which is a small memento, and it's a very, very popular, gadget in the Netherlands gambling gambling sector. While Feite is helping you to unpack because we've seen previously people.
I feel I'm gonna break something.
That's fine. That's fine. Okay. You can break it.
Yes.
No.
I've been told this mug is
I know it's a mug.
It's unbreakable.
Oh, what a surprise! What is it?
Yes. So
I have both your faces now.
Well, we put a filter on it, so you so there's
I love it.
Responsible mug. It's a responsible mug.
And I thought this was going to be so painful after 5 p.m. to do, but now I got a mug.
Yeah. And you can, whenever you have an online meeting, be sure to that people see that you were distinguished guest on Feitmans PeePee.
Yes.
And not everybody can say that.
No, not everybody.
I hope so.
Only 11 people so far.
Yeah.
On that note, we do have to call on our listeners to send in requests and ideas and questions. Maybe people have questions for Maris, which we will then pass on to Maris.
And all the reactions you can mail too.
You can mail it to feitmansnpp@gmail.com. No, sorry, it's the wrong one.
Reageren @feitmansnpp.
Yeah, you could also send it to the Gmail address anyway. But please send in your ideas, your complaints, your.
And if you want to be the guest in our next show, also send us an email, call us, app us. Or,
you know where to find us.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Maris.
on to the drinks, the closing drinks, and then, or is it the closing drinks? Or is that tomorrow? No. So anyway, we have a dinner tonight as well here in the Ullevaal. I just love that word, Ullevaal.
I hear it.
Thanks
a lot, Maris. Thanks a lot, Maris.
But Maris,
working together with us.
Thanks very much, and also thanks to our listeners all over the world, also in Egypt and in the United States and Australia.
And we will see you within a month.
Yes, and thanks everyone. Thanks Feite, and thanks Maris. Bye bye.
Bye bye.